Hi, this is NancyJoy, and I'm back after a 3-week sabbatical on YouTube. If you're on my web mailing list, you've been getting reflections. I will give any of you YouTubers a free session with Ezekiel if you can help me figure out how to take a video from my past Heartlights YouTube channel and make it the featured video. I couldn't do that. I did a few summer repeats while I was gone, but of course, since I couldn't post them on YouTube, only my web people got them. So anyway, let's move right along here. I'm going to Nyack, New York, August 20th for a emotional transformation retreat. So I hope all my friends in that area in Connecticut, New Jersey, Long Island, New York, consider joining me. It's a wonderful retreat center. We're going to have a great transformational day. Okay, so we put 3,330 miles on our car, traveling down south and mostly through Florida and back again to Iowa over 3 weeks. And, I did sessions along the way and worked with people, of course. And in myself, what I'm discovering here is a new level of discomfort that I'm not used to. And that's where what I usually do in reflections is share with you what's going on with me, because a lot of times from the feedback I know, we're feeling the same things. So I ran across this quote while I was gone from Tut, the universe. If you don't get his little short messages, they're wonderful. You might want to subscribe. It's not as if the currents of life must be studied, examined, charted, explained, plied, or channeled in order to be effortlessly ridden. Wow, it's so great. I mean, I know that, and a lot of times in my life I can do that, but with the chaos and the competing energies right now, I mean, we're in the 5D frequency for sure, but constantly pulled back down through the 4 and into the 3. It's very disconcerting, and we struggle. I think it's a struggle. So when I read this quote, I realized that to surf the currents of life, you kind of have to surrender. You have to float. You have to balance yourself. And so this reminds me of a short story from years ago. I was water skiing in the Delaware River with my then husband in our brand new ski boat. This is many, 30 probably or more years ago. And we'd never taken it in a river before, and we were not aware about how your boat and you and everything keeps going down the river while you were busy getting up and down on skis. And so, make a long story short, I was in skiing and fell down, and the boat circled around and got me. We had friends with us. And my husband threw me a rope and said, hang on to this and don't let go no matter what. And he gunned the boat forward. And I was clueless, and it was hurting my arms, getting rope burn. So, of course, I let go. Well, the minute I let go, I heard this horrible roar. And I was coming right to about a 20-foot, maybe 30-foot waterfall that went down into the rapids. Yep, there was no saving me now. And I did go over, and the last thing I saw was my husband with a rope in his hand jumping over to rescue me, which, is pretty amazing, because what could he have done? I was on my way, but pretty great, right? So what happened was, I went over and I kind of banged my head enough to just kind of daze me. And I stopped struggling. I had the thought, well, this is it. This is it. I'm surrender. I bet this is, thinking, okay, that's the end of me, maybe. I don't know. I totally surrendered, probably because the bump in my head, right, knocked my brain senseless. And I could vaguely see him over on the rocks under big rapids there. And he was struggling and fighting and trying to grab onto rocks. And we were both rescued, lucky us, by the U.S. Olympic kayak team that happened to be practicing in those rapids. That was the extent of the rapids, right? Pretty bad. Difficult. Anyway, so we were both saved. I had very little damage. when they brought me on shore, I kind of just a little banged up, but my husband was very banged up and hurt and had a really tough time. I didn't even really have a concussion. So when I read this quote from Tut about, it's kind of like just accepting the currents of life. It was kind of that moment, oh, well, this is happening to me. And it's been a benchmark in my life that I can often go back to with all the traumas and dramas that life takes us on. But over the past 3 weeks of being away and then returning home, I was glad to get home, back to what was familiar, back to what I knew. But I also felt so uncomfortable, like I didn't want to be there. And it was like I was trying to wear a favorite old pair of shoes and they no longer fit me. It's exactly what it feels like. And I went back to the old patterns of trying to figure out why all of a sudden this way, what's going on. Is it the chemtrails? Is it the ascension symptoms? Why am I feeling so uncomfortable, right? And as I read the quote from Tut, I realized you're always going to be uncomfortable when you're struggling and fighting the currents. And as he puts it, trying to figure them out, trying to make sense of them, trying to figure out what caused them. It's not going to work. And that is the whole basis of the 5D emotional field. Your emotions are there to feel, to ride, to surrender to accept, to bring you back to love. That's what they're there for. That's why we created them. There's a great link at the end of this of my 5D emotional transformation seminar on the cruise last year in Alaska. You can listen to. It's great. But it took me back, and figuring out everything takes you out of your feelings. And that's why our egos try to get us into that mode where our brains are going, well, if I did this, this is a reflection of that. You know, we've talked about this. But why we do that is because we're uncomfortable with what we're feeling. And we want to get out of it. So we start figuring and processing and all of that. And it takes you out of your feelings, but it doesn't really make you feel any better because you keep cycling back. Any emotion not embraced and integrated will persist. And not only will it will persist dramatically until that's what causes depression. People are trying to push their feelings away. And I'm not talking about major life depression here, but it basically is trying to push feelings away instead of learning how to ride the current, surrender to them, embrace them, see where they're taking you. Life has a purpose. And, you know, Matt Kahn in his most recent video, the link is here also, but it's on True Divine Nature. It's called The Soul's Journey. And he said, from the perspective of your soul, it doesn't care about any of those things. All your soul cares about is how did you respond? Did you receive love from an open heart, from a that it's all perfect? Or did you fight it, try it out, go away? Boy, do we go into judgment pretty fast, project all those. So we're really at a time where we're being challenged to keep remembering the choice on it. The life that our soul has, we're going. Yes, you're God creators. And where you're creators is in how you respond to this plan of your souls. That's what makes it, what you can make a mission out of it instead of fighting with it and struggling with it. So the emotional transformation retreats, the great thing is we form a group heart, much easier to shift the energies in a group heart and alone. And so it's a wonderful, wonderful reset and a wonderful point that you can always go back to. I encourage you, if not with me, to meet with a group and work with this, because you will your emotions are your raft on the currents of life. And as long as you're pushing the raft away, you're going to have a tough time, right? So, eventually the brain integrates with the feelings and in the heart. And then you are truly at the divine level of mastery. To open up and just breathe, and maybe this is a way to go. I certainly need to be reminded. These reflections are a reminder for me. So accept embrace your feelings, ride the currents, and remember your soul is interested in how you respond, not figure out about it. Have a great week. Catch the magic. Full moon on Tuesday. Can't remember. It's Cancer, maybe. Anyway, have a great week, and we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.